back at it. Another feedback episode.
Yeah.
So, I feel like our pre-feedback chatter was longer than this actual episode's going to be, but
yeah, pretty much.
So we'll just cover all the ones we've hit in between. So we did the Clarion episode, which was pretty cool. That was a lot of fun. Having my dad on the podcast. Then we had Will over.
How long have we been talking about getting your dad on the podcast for miscellaneous items?
Yeah, and then we just chose Clarion, but that worked out pretty well. A good chunk of you guys signed up for the promotion they had going on.
Yeah, we got free Clarion for 4 months, whatever.
Mm-hmm. So I think
even I signed up. So
well, good for you, man. Good for you.
I can stop stealing out of my dad's house.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
that was good though. We learned a lot, I think, and it's exciting for what the Clarion can do and bring to our community.
Looks a bit different. And then I saw in the most recent issue after Christmas, there was a whole big write up from your dad about how everything's changing and the new face of it and a few things. And now you're writing for it.
Yeah. I have my first one actually just came out on Allie Beth Stuckey's podcast.
You didn't write about our podcast first?
No, it seemed a bit vain to do that.
The first podcast you don't recommend is ours.
Yeah, the one and only. Yeah.
The second one will be Real Talk.
Mm-hmm. So if people are interested, they can check that out. And I'll be doing 4 of those a year. So
yes, people should go subscribe to Clarion. It's a great way, especially if you're part of the Canon Ref Church.
Yeah, or even whatever, URC or FRC. It's just good reformed stuff coming out of there.
It was pretty neat to hear a background on that. I didn't literally never knew anything about that.
Yeah.
So
most people
pretty
don't.
Neat. Anyway.
Indeed. Then we had 39, which was Joe Boot. That was good. A lot of you guys listened to that one, and a lot of people appreciated that.
Popular.
Yeah.
Not as contentious as I thought it would be, but definitely we're struggling to find the other side. We've really actually tried to be, reasonably balanced on this whole COVID thing. Yeah,
we've tried to add a few people on, but
we've asked
for various reasons. They have declined or it's not worked out.
Yeah, definitely fair enough. We had Winston on to talk about male leadership, but we asked him to come on to talk about COVID too. And he said, well, he's got to worry about his local church and not, be just spreading his views about regulation or mandates, etc. But it would be good to have somebody on for that. So if anybody knows anybody who'd be willing to come on to talk about it, who is at the very least sympathetic to the views of, I don't know, what do you call it? Masking, etc.
Extending the mandates, whatever.
Wow, not even
or whatever it is.
Just
drawing the line at a different spot when it comes to obeying the government for COVID restrictions.
Yeah. I think we've shown our colors at this point. So.
Oh yeah, no.
Which we've got a lot of appreciation for, but also, we're trying to be balanced here. So.
Yep. No, you were up at the trucker convoy last week, was it?
Yeah. Well, by the time this drops, it'll be 2 weeks ago. So the first. Yeah.
After the first weekend.
They got there on the Saturday and we went up Wednesday.
Yeah.
We stayed overnight Tuesday and then walked around my wife and my 2 kids and me.
Yeah.
So, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Skated on the Rideau like real Canadians.
Oh, yeah.
And then.
Did you guys get beaver tails or no?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that was actually a condition of going.
Oh, for sure.
So
yeah.
She really wanted to go to see the truckers and then get a beaver tail. So.
Yeah. I was like, mandatory.
I said,
mandatory.
we'll take our skates. Yes. But it was I'm sure everyone's talking about it, and who knows by the time this drops what it's the whole situation is. Well, you're going up on the weekend, so by the time this drops you'll have been there too.
Yeah, pressure's building too. A second Liberal MP came out in favor of ending the mandates and the restrictions today, so the pressure's building on Trudeau.
We might not have a leader by next Monday when this drops. So
I kind of doubt that, but hopefully he'll change his ways.
Yeah, it's really interesting, but it just has engaged me at least, and so many other people in Canadian politics. I don't think I've listened to or looked at America in weeks. So it's really a cool feeling at least to
definitely
be engaged in Canada. Because even when there's an election here, I'm more focused on the States because it's just more exciting. There's more stuff moving and there's always there's way more moving parts, right?
Yeah, but I have a lot more media to cover it too, right? Having spent some time in Ottawa myself, there is still a lot going on, but it's there's just not as much at stake because it's Canada. So
yeah, exactly.
But it's still important if you live here. So,
but the pressure's on, and hopefully we see some positive change from it, and hopefully they stay very peaceful and stuff. When we were there, it was definitely overwhelmingly peaceful. We actually met Aaron Rock up there, and we did a hymn sing. Bunch of guys from ARPA were there, and we there's a whole bunch of Christian people up on Parliament Hill. We did like a hymn sing, and they read and prayed, and there was a whole bunch of truckers who came and like watched, and there was a trucker who sang after. It was awesome. And then Aaron Rock I think he led in prayer after. And so I finally got to shake his hand because we did that episode with him virtually. So
right, yeah.
But he did he was there for 3 days, I think, and then he did a podcast on an episode on his podcast, like just explaining what he saw and stuff, and definitely like accurate to what we saw. Like,
So. I have half a mind to go up there and take a microphone with me and just interview.
You got to take a jerry can, so
that too. Yeah.
Oh, if you do that, take a mic, and then we should just drop a whole bunch of interviews on the
YouTube
bonus
channel
episode
maybe
or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So stay tuned on that. I think that could be possible for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Then we had episode 40, which is kind of crazy. We're just flying through these episodes. But we had Winston Bosch on. I found that one very enjoyable. It was a good conversation. We just dove deeply into his 3-part series on what it means to be a leader in the church, and as far as that goes for males, and also the role of women in the church and whatnot, which we will be hitting in a future episodes, hopefully.
Well, I think, we kind of wanted to frame it because we're hoping to talk about Flourish in that organization. Right?
A women's group in Burlington, Flamborough area.
Yeah, which I think is, I only have read a little bit on it in preparation for an episode, but it's, it seems like such a good group. And then we thought this would help frame like how we actually think about the roles. So I don't know, it definitely helped me to understand like better the difference between the role of elders and the role of deacons, and start piecing apart maybe some of the other, avenues we can open up to women in the church. And
definitely. And to get the historical context too was good. So when you reference Nancy Piercy, and it's important to be able to distinguish between biblical views and roles as far as gender goes, and sex and whatnot. And then what are we taking in from the culture, and what have we received from the culture, and both historically, and then also what are the present forces that we have to watch out for as well. So I think overall it's pretty balanced and biblical. So that was good.
I hope biblical.
That's the goal
for sure. Super interesting. And then we had our propaganda episode, which is also well received, but
that was fun. Jim's a good guy to talk to. That was that was interesting.
Yeah, definitely well thought out on this topic for sure. And because he has his own podcast too. Although Winston too, Reverend Bosch has his own podcast. You can tell all these guys, Joe Boot, like just like used to talking. Right?
Oh yeah,
definitely. These episodes have been easy. So
yeah. If you're interested in learning about, if you haven't checked out the propaganda one, we go through what is propaganda, how it's made, the role the media plays, and whatnot, and how we can discern the news as Christians, right?
Yeah, like what is propaganda? That's like how it's made, and like not just we think, like a lot of times when I thought about propaganda before this was more like, you think of a Nazi sign or like the things that we think about in like World War II terms a lot of times.
Yeah.
But to think about it more broadly as like things that just influence you. And there's always people influencing you one way or the other. So.
Oh, totally.
But what came up, like we had someone write in giving a couple examples of positive propaganda.
Yeah.
Which we kind of talked about. It was like not really a negative thing necessarily.
Yeah, we use it in the pro-life movement. Like, We Need a Law has done that quite effectively.
Yeah.
Canada has no abortion laws.
Yeah,
like that's a well-known fact, at least. Certainly in our community, but I think it's
definitely like
becoming
the punchy slogans, right? So you see it actually with the truckers a lot. They use these punchy things, like We the Fringe started.
Oh yeah,
right, and like you using little things like that. I'm starting to recognize that more and more as like it's a useful way to get your message across. So people on both sides are doing it. And it's just a matter of who can do it better, basically, to influence culture. But even as Christians, we need to. It's good to kind of come up with our own things that put on the back of our vans. Like We Need a Law. Like,
there's a place for it, but it is like we talked about this a bit before. But like it is a fine line that you don't want it to become completely sloganeering and have no depth, right? But I think as a tool to simplify concepts that are hard to communicate. I think it's not a bad idea as a starting point to get people into a movement, but then you should have a lot of backup material, or not even backup material so much as just further explanations.
I feel like we stay away, like even as conservatives, even in like the Conservative Party, there's a hesitancy to not use these tactics that you see your opponents using. Like I don't think in politics.
I don't think that's true at all. The Conservative Party uses that all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I find like even in the media, like you'll see like the left-wing media will often use these like punchy things and like clickbaity, but there's not as many on the right.
No.
Like Rebel News will do it. There's a few, but some of them, like if you look at the people that you want to follow, they try not to do it, which is like
that's not even true. You'll see it with the Daily Wire does it all the time. Think of like Doug Ford, like Ontario's open for business. Like that was his whole big slogan back in 2018. Like,
yeah,
people. I feel
like you're trying to be more fair, and then it's not as effective. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah, no, it might be harder to spot if it's your natural, like, oh, I agree with that, and you don't think it's propaganda, but it definitely gets used all around the spectrum.
Why is it more effective on the left then?
Oh, they just have more of a media apparatus behind them in today's, like where we're at today. But that's changing too. The legacy media is dying, and you're seeing that in stuff like Joe Rogan winning the war with Spotify there.
That's interesting. Even like talking to some older people. I mean, we're the young folks, right?
Yeah.
Talking to some older people, even in my church and like just around
town.
Around town. You know, when I'm
on the street corner.
Yeah, when I'm walking around town,
getting milk at the corner store.
But even older people who admittedly don't use technology well and wouldn't even like invite like a Zoom call. Would be like not even sure how to do that.
Right.
Know that the media is biased and are looking for other means to do it.
Yeah.
So like they're like, oh yeah, well I got Instagram or Facebook just for this, so I can like investigate.
Yeah.
So it's like, like it really makes you open your eyes. Is like then you're like, okay, but watch your algorithm too, because
I know. Facebook.
You never know what rabbit hole you end up
feeding you everything. Yeah. Yeah, it's tricky though. It's good that more and more people are realizing it too, because I feel like 5 to 10 years ago, I mean, people were realizing it, but not nearly to the same extent. And I think, the Trump era for some, and then also for a large amount of people, COVID has really opened people's eyes to that. People weren't tremendously engaged as far as politics go, but just kind of casual consumers of political content. You'll see that a lot more now that people are awake to the fact.
It's so blatant, eh? Like the convoys really kind of open people's eyes too, I think, because it's a grassroots movement that it's so hard to refute the usefulness of it. Even if you don't agree with every sign that's there and every, guy's boots on the ground there, or their tactic of honking, or their, this or that, like the message behind it that seems to be like the overarching message, even from all the people organizing it.
Yeah. It's
so hard to say anything really bad about it. So then but it's so blatantly like these people are blasting it, these people are praising it.
Mm-hmm.
So then how do you really find the truth in that? Like,
yeah, it can be tricky. But yeah, I think it's really
there. That's what we did.
Well, that too. Go on the ground, do some actual journalism.
Yeah.
But
very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's morphed into a nationwide movement, which has been really cool.
Well, international, really, like
that too.
Seeing it like all over the place.
Yeah,
even Ron DeSantis is looking into GoFundMe. So
that was an absolute
Florida
scandal, and
that's pretty wild. Yeah, Jordan Peterson called that like even worse than stuff Trudeau's doing. The fact that they basically took people's money and
it's theft in a way.
They did, however, return it, which I feel like it's going to save them in court. But
yeah. But it was complete
collusion,
like open collusion. The Ottawa police were proudly saying that.
Yeah.
Like they work with the city of Ottawa.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the federal government as well.
Oh, the chief of police like praised it, right?
Yeah.
The fact that they stole the money or shut her down. And I heard one of their approved charities that they said they were going to give the money to was Planned Parenthood.
Oh, I'm sure.
Which is like,
I'll take my money back.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, actually, that's a great little transition piece there, because we've covered all the episodes we've done recently. We got a bunch of ideas for new episodes coming up, and likely our next episode that we release will be with Samuel Say.
Mm-hmm.
You can find him on Twitter at handle Slow to Write, maybe Instagram too, I believe. Anyways, he is a Canadian blogger, and he works. I don't know if he's still currently employed, but for a long time he was with CCBR, Canadian Center for Bioethical Reform. That's
so you would probably know Jonathan Marin really well.
Yeah, he would know John definitely, and he's awesome. He's a black guy, and he's just been a big advocate for pro-lifers in Canada, and then also he's written a lot about critical race theory. So those are two of the main topics we'll talk to him about, but we'll probably touch on the truckers a bit too. I know he was out at some local rallies at one point.
Oh yeah,
yeah, he went out to to cheer them on when they first came, right?
Right.
So
yeah, no, that'll be really good. It's really good to hear like a guy like that talking about critical race theory, like openly, like bringing it into Canada too, because a lot of it just stays in the States and we don't often like engage in that stuff.
Well, CRT doesn't, but like the commentary, you don't get Canadian commentary,
which is really good to So, and then pro-life, like definitely got to keep banging that drum. So
no, definitely.
Beating the drum.
Beating the drum, banging the drum. Yeah, it depends.
Whatever floats your boat.
Sure. Sure.
So that's gonna be really exciting. That's our next one, but yeah, I think we're looking for guests for an assortment of ideas.
Yeah, we got a lot of topics,
and I think we have guest ideas and we have topic ideas. But they don't always marry, which is the tough part.
Now, one we want to hit pretty bad actually is Lord's Supper. I want to talk about that. Talk about how often we celebrate Lord's Supper, how seriously we take it. What do we actually believe on it too? I feel.
We've been talking about it a lot the last little bit.
Yeah. Commonly, we might be, as the common view in our churches, may tend to be more Zwinglian than our actual confessional view is.
People don't
far
know
more
what that
serious.
Means. Zwinglian.
Yeah.
So that's actually interesting because it's going to Synod too, which is going to be, I don't even know when Synod is this year for sure.
Yeah, May.
So they're going to be dealing with a few things about our forms and stuff. And a lot of that comes from trying to abbreviate them, or like we want to celebrate more often. I think that's been a more common concern.
Yeah.
People want to celebrate Lord's Supper more often. But we're curious like about how seriously we take it, and then also how do we feel about it? Like we don't like to talk about feelings and stuff like that, but is our tradition too much a knowledge tradition and too little a feelings tradition when it comes to like the sacraments? Because other traditions are a lot more in the feeling and a lot more in the I don't know what you would even call it. I don't have the words for it.
Yeah, there's more symbolism and more
a deeper understanding of the symbolism of it. And then like we were talking about that, like, do we really miss it? Like a lot of churches have had to miss it because of COVID or chosen to delay Lord's Supper or, maybe went to a couple times a year or whatever.
Yeah.
And do we really, as members of the church, really like long for it? Or is it something like, okay, we'll do it next week.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Or if you have to miss it, for any reason, do you really miss it? Or are you just, oh, okay, well, I wasn't there, and I'll let my council know that I wasn't there, but also whatever.
Yeah.
Right. And so that to me, I've been struggling with it. I'm just really curious about it, and if there is something like about it that we can, dig deeper into. And
there seems to be a bit of an undercurrent of support for more regular celebration of it. Yeah. Although there was an article, I didn't have a chance to read it yet, but in Clarion, I believe it was Reverend Eric Campen, writing just about that we should be aware of the consequences of if we were to initiate more regular celebration of Lord's Supper. Huh. It could mean cutting down on preaching time and whatnot, which then you get to the debate about forms and how long we should make those, and et cetera, et cetera. So,
but
it's a conversation worth having.
The forms like summarize what we believe so well that it's hard to cut stuff out of them. And then also maybe our format, like how we like
the liturgy
the format of our Lord's Supper itself.
Oh, collective or
like do we do like? There's not a ton of churches I don't think that do tables anymore. I know some churches in our federation go. You're invited by the consistory. Like actively, and then you go to the front to get the elements and bring them back to your pew.
Right.
Yeah. some, like our church, we distribute through the thing. So you do the bread and then the wine separate. So you celebrate it almost like, I don't know, like disjointed, like bread, wine, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I've never had the chance to do Lord's Supper at the table. It literally, like, we switched right when I professed my faith. So I don't really know what that would be like.
Table is better, in my opinion. I understand the practicalities of it, but in Spring Creek, we had a table.
Right. But try to do that every week or every other week or something like that, and then have like a church of 600.
Yeah.
So I get why we've gone the way, but it'd be nice to understand, or to have a discussion about that to start, I think the currents are already there a little bit. But.
Yeah. So if you know of anybody or you feel like you would like to come on and talk about that and you have some subject expertise, let us know.
Yeah,
send us an
absolutely.
email. Hit us up on social media. Okay. There's a couple other, there's a bunch of other things we want to talk about, but a few of the other ones, conscience issues, this idea of, like my conscience afflicts me, or I feel like I violate my conscience if I take this action.
We've kind of touched on it with like COVID, and we've touched on it with like your calling in the world.
Yeah.
Like, this is my calling. This is where God is calling me.
Yeah.
And how did that, it's like, how do you sleep at night after
conscience,
you do this?
These are terms.
But also, like, how does
connected.
that, like, what is that idea? And like, is the expression of your conscience, or like the, like, how important is that concept to, what we believe?
Yeah, well, and also, what does the Bible teach about conscience, and how important are conscience issues? And we talk about conscience issues, like ARPA has talked about conscience issues in relation to doctors not having to recommend patients for euthanasia or for abortion services or whatever, right?
Which is a real issue. Which we can also
do a battle. This
we could honestly do an abort or a euthanasia episode too, but it's
yeah, we could. Yeah, that wouldn't be bad.
It's a real struggle I've heard from nurses, like firsthand. Seeing this kind of stuff go on, like, unbelievable.
Yeah. Another one I want to talk about too is drugs in the church. Lots of different types of
drugs in the church.
Yes. Should this be allowed? Yes or no?
It'll definitely invoke speaking in tongues.
Yeah, it'll be something going on for sure. So weed would be a good one to touch on, especially since it's been legal for a couple of years now. What do people feel about it? Obviously,
Douglas Wilson, we were going to have him on.
Yeah, I mean, he's a bit of a big fish. I'm not sure if we'll be able to snag him, but...
He wrote a whole book on it, so we should read that.
But, yeah, I mean, lots of people smoke weed and go to our churches, so it's... I think it's an alive and well topic, so it would be good to touch on.
Medicinal versus recreational. What is, like... I guess even smoking at this point is more taboo than marijuana, so...
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about the young crowd. I mean, we call ourselves young, but I don't know about like the high school era, if that's still a, like, I know when I went, marijuana wasn't, well, it's not legal. It was definitely like a, I don't know, was it like a cool crowd thing? I don't know. Yeah, it was a party thing, right? Like,
sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, whatever. Yeah, you saw it around for sure.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I don't know if that's still the culture or not.
Yeah, somewhat maybe, but there's just less of a stigma about it. It's not,
so it's not sort of, it's not as fun for a kid to do.
It's not some sort of brave thing or like some sort of like risky activity. It's like, you went and bought it at the government store. Nice.
Yeah, right. Wow. I guess if you're underage, it's still pretty.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I came it was like right when I was like 18, 19, it got legalized.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that'd be interesting. Yeah. Talk about that. I want to talk about psychedelics too, which is a whole other drug that isn't, I don't know how common it is, but should do some online surveying to see.
Yeah, which is,
I'm so curious because guys like Joe Rogan talk about that, and there's been like, well, even like Sam Harris, and there's some like highly intellectual guys who have talked about methods, not just psychedelics, but talked about like meditation in order to get to that kind of a state of mind, like very wild. Like, I don't know.
People have religious like experiences on psychedelics. So what to make of that?
Yeah.
And it's like,
and like, what is that like? Is that a Christian thing to be doing? Is that a realm of your mind that you should just leave alone? Or is that like, what is that? Is that like getting outside your mind? Is that trying to get into some like spiritual state, or like some,
is it a fast track to an unearned state of mind?
Yeah.
That you should actually obtain by a lifelong commitment to religion. or like to
Is
Christianity.
it analogous to like sorcery of sorts? Like, I have literally no idea. So I'm super curious about that. I do not know if we have a psychedelic expert in our churches.
That would be tricky.
Around, but
yeah,
we can just bring Joe Rogan on instead.
I'm sure he'll lend us his time. Yeah.
Well, if he gets kicked off Spotify, then
sure. Okay, another one we've had a lot of requests on is dating, singleness, that whole scene. But we could also tie that in with marriage too. And
Lucas is engaged. I don't know if anyone knew that.
Oh yeah, a couple months back. Yeah.
A couple months already?
December. Yeah.
Lucas proposed to his fiance, girlfriend of
I guess you proposed to your girlfriend to make her your fiance.
Correct. She said yes, so he is now engaged. So he's getting out of the realm to be able to talk about this, so we should snag it quick while he can.
Yeah, no, I've gone through the whole gamut in the last it's been almost a year since we started dating. So,
but yeah, we've talked about that, like just in terms of like how you and Elle met, and how like my wife and I met. Ellen Kel met.
Oh, that's confusing.
And yeah, like it's different stories, but we're not that far apart in terms of technologies and stuff like that. To like our parents, who literally like had to call each other on a party phone or something.
Yeah,
like dial tone.
Sent a carrier pigeon to their
and then they got exactly.
Yeah, blew some smoke signals across the way.
Ride the stallion in the darkness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mount your Triceratops to go pick them up for a date.
So, but the technology and how like even COVID's changed that, I'm sure. And how different being single is, especially like high school age, even younger, like the connectedness of everybody and how that affects relationships and stuff like that is definitely, I mean, I don't know what to think about it. And I'm only, how old am I? 20? No. I'm almost 30.
Yeah.
I'm almost 30, and I don't even know how to navigate that. And for my kids, I'm pretty much euchred. Just have to ask them when they're 40 to see how it went. But
yeah, they're still single. You're like, shoot.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well,
which that gets into the episode because there's nothing wrong with being single too. So it's that's a whole other like
the
group
pressure
of people to talk to.
Maybe we have to someone younger than us on. We haven't done that yet, have we?
I don't think so. Yeah. But I mean, we're pretty low bar already.
It's true.
No, I think we'll have to find someone who's willing to talk about that. Maybe a counselor, perhaps, or something. But yeah, it's a whole different scene today, right?
So. Definitely interesting. Yeah.
And then two other ones, and we'll wrap this puppy up because it's probably been going on too long. And if you're still listening, thank you very much. You must be quite interested in what we're doing and what we're talking about.
Just the sound of your voice.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Well, we mentioned women in the church, so we can just let that one go.
Yeah, I was just going to just leave it and not even touch it.
I'm just going to mention it again.
Yeah.
I got it on my paper, so.
Yeah, you're a real pro, a veteran. All right.
I don't usually have a paper, so.
People are not going to like that. Okay.
Oh, come on.
Anyway, so we want to talk about business. Yeah, we're going to get your Uncle Darren Bosch on one of these days.
Yeah, I got to bug him again, but that's been in the works for a year.
Yeah.
He was on Tyrannus Hall, so we
want to do something a little different than that.
Well, we both, we're running a Christian business, I guess. So,
yeah.
Although we don't have 280 employees or anything.
No.
But, to get his opinion on how do you do business in a Christian way? How do you approach the marketplace as a Christian? Do your products and services look different because you're a Christian? How do you care for employees? Maybe things like that.
Yeah.
How is that different? And how can you be a positive influence?
Yeah.
Should it be a missional approach to things? And
how to be sly as serpents but innocent as doves, and you want to make money but also serve people, and
it's
tricky.
Yeah. So he's part of Deliberate You, which is kind of does that whole gambit. So we'll get him on.
Exactly. Okay, and the last one, and maybe not all of you are interested in this.
And we're going to talk about this for another half hour.
So we'll make this really quick. Is the whole area of cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin especially. I read a book recently called Thank God for Bitcoin, which seems a bit much on its face, but it's a really good book. Pretty quick read. Probably took 2 hours, something like that.
So it took me 12 hours.
Well, I don't know about that, but no, it's not too complicated, not too technical. Doesn't, but it just explains our current financial system, what fiat money is, like the currency we use every day, compared to what Bitcoin is and what the world could be if we move to a Bitcoin standard.
Let us know if you're interested in this, because we are fascinated about it, but we also think about we think about politics and finances and I guess the financial world way too much. You're trying to buy a house, so you don't have a choice but to think about inflation.
Yeah, it's sad.
So, just let us know if you're interested in hearing about what Bitcoin is, how like our financial, mechanism that is the Canadian dollar is a terrible idea. Yeah.
And if you've read some books around this, have any recommendations, send us a message.
Even a guest or two, or someone who knows someone that's way into it.
Yeah. So the book I read, Thank God for Bitcoin, it had like 6 or 7 authors to it. But one of those guys is a PCA guy down in Nashville, I believe. So Derek Walchuk is his name. So be interesting to have him on, get kind of especially particularly reformed perspective.
He probably already listens to the podcast. So, so if you're listening,
far and wide, of course.
That's, yeah. Well, so that'd be good just to give people an understanding of what it is, and then try to explain, is it like, I think a lot of people think it's just a speculative stock market-y kind of gambling kind of feature system. But if you're into it, it's people are, thinking about it in way different terms and thinking that it's going to take over our financial. So maybe the truth is somewhere in the middle, but
I'm of the mind, it's here to stay, and what that world looks like is up for debate still. But it's good to know. I think it's almost imperative to learn about.
Especially if it is going that way, we as Christians need to know what it is, know how to engage with it, and you basically need to know what you think about it, because at some point
it will affect your life.
You're going to get confronted with it, and if you don't know what a Christian view is on it, then.
Well, more even specifically just on money itself. What does the Bible say about money? How do we treat money?
Yeah, it's like a kind of it's a bit of a taboo topic. Like we don't often like to talk about money, in a broader sense.
Yeah.
Like it's easy to point to text and say, like pay your taxes, work hard, whatever, invest, be smart, be stewardly. But to talk about like monetary policy and to talk about what is it, like what is fiat money really,
and also
we don't get into that tons, and like talking about like
what are
how to leverage credit and all those things.
What are the incentives in our system, and why is it set up the way it is, and are there ways we could do it better perhaps? So all those kind of things and more. So
coming right at you.
That's where we're at for today. I think we'll leave it there. But we got a lot on the horizon, lots to keep talking about. So keep sending us your feedback. A lot of it is, it's thoughtful, but also a lot of people just saying, hey, keep it up, great work, love it, sort of thing. So
we're only going to tell you about those ones. So.
Yeah.
No, that's been overwhelmingly positive. And thanks. And let us know what you think about these feedback episodes, because we're just forever riffing on things to know. We enjoy them because they're a bit of a break for us too, especially when we get behind in recording.
Yeah.
And when we can't find guests for all of our amazing topics that we came up with. But
it's a little tricky because we don't feel like we're terribly interesting and you should really care about what's going on in our lives. But at the same time, it's like, I know people appreciate that. Like, I know I appreciate that with podcast hosts when they share what's going on and what they're doing. So I get a little bit of behind the scenes. Yeah. So,
we could give you all the behind the scenes. You could come join us on our work day. It's terrible.
Yeah. No. Definitely.
So, all right.
That's where we're at for today.
Thanks for everyone for listening.
We'll catch you on the next one, folks. Keep having real talk.
Cheers.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Real Talk. We really appreciate you taking the time to listen or watch the show. If you want to send us your feedback, and we'd love to hear it, please email us at reformedrealtalk@gmail.com. If you want to find us online or social media, we got a lot of great content there. Just search Reformed Real Talk and we should come right up. This show is created and produced by myself, Lucas Holtfluer, and Tyler Vanderwood. And our wonderful podcast manager who does all the editing is Mariah Tamiga. So we're really thankful for her contribution to the show as well. That's all for now, folks. Thanks for watching or listening, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.